Take one episode. What is this? A dozen? Half a dozen?
Episode half dozen. We've got a 6 donuts.
Special Sesh, episode 6. We're here at Andy Lyman, Matt Kennicott at Enchanted Botanicals in Nob Hill. Nice enough to host us for this Secret Sesh, as well as Secret Sesh, which we just recorded in Special Sesh, episode 6. Should go check out the Secret Sesh on our Substack because we did address a little bit more of the legalization aspect that we missed.
Definitely.
That we missed the week before. So
rescheduling.
Yeah.
Fun topic. We'll be talking about it a lot. Maybe not necessarily here, but I will be in meetings that I've got coming up on the road here pretty soon. So.
Yeah. Well, and obviously we're going to keep talking about stuff that we miss out on because we record a week in advance. We're recording this early too, so this is a Monday. So obviously, full disclosure, shit we talk about on here, because I was watching, today's Monday. Today is 2 days after this gentleman ran into the correspondence dinner, or tried to. Shot a agent, I believe. I don't know if it was. I think it was a government official,
uniformed Secret Service agent, and they took him down, which is great. But how he got through security in the first place, I don't know. I read an account earlier today that basically said they had 2 young girls opening and closing the front doors of the lobby. So again, the beauty of this, the double-edged sword of this whole format we've got is that we have no clue if we're going to have more information, what information we're going to have a week from today. It's true.
We're sitting here running our mouths and there's a whole lot of questions today. Will they be answered in a week? I don't know.
Attempt number 3, though, man, that's I don't know. I haven't read a lot on it because it's attempt number 3, and they've kind of memory holed the other ones.
Well, speaking of memory holes, I think one thing that folks should be reminded of a week out from that attempt is the president's response to 60 Minutes when they were, trying to talk to him about what was in this dude's manifesto. What I saw was a man who. Well, look, I'll give him credit. He was probably tired. It was a late night. It was sort of hectic. But what I saw, a man was partially unhinged and just with no filters at all. I don't know. Did you see it?
No. Honestly, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the coverage of this. I hate to say it, but
he was just really angry because they were the reporter, and I apologize. I don't remember her name, but she, or the interviewer, I should say, was, going through this dude's manifesto, talking about that he. Something about pedophiles and Trump immediately was like, I'm not a pedophile, and she was like, oh well, did you think that he was talking about? She literally was like, did you take it as that he was talking about you? And he really lost his cool, and so I maybe just don't do the interview with 60 Minutes right after that.
Well, doing something immediately following an event I can understand having a press conference saying I'm okay, or sit down and address it calmly, and then have a press conference later. The night of the event seems a little too soon.
Yeah, and it might have been the next day. I don't remember.
It was that night.
So
I remember because I remember seeing them in all of their tuxedos and formal.
Yeah, that's what I read. That's what struck me when I saw it, was that he was dressed like he was at a ball.
Yeah. It was odd. The optics were weird. He had Kash Patel and the acting AG Todd Blanche up there with him. It was odd.
All I can think is that he was trying to catch him in another trap so that he could sue him again.
I guess part of that 4D chess.
Because I'm 5D, 4D,
whatever it is.
But it makes it even more bizarre that this is the same, that you sat down for an interview with the same people that you said treated you so unfairly that they should pay you money.
Well, we are living in the upside down right now. That's just that's just how it's been.
Speaking of upside down, I went through the news today, and there's all sorts of upside down shit. Elon Musk and the
Sam Altman.
Yeah, that they're
Still going at it.
So again, I was trying to pick stuff that probably is still going to be relevant in a week, and I don't know how long this trial is going to go, but I think they were doing jury selection today or yesterday.
Today, yeah, it's going to go for a while. I think those two have a lot of beef right now. I mean, Elon says one thing where he's got, and probably rightfully so, he's got Sam Altman kind of caught where there was never any disclosure that ChatGPT would be for profit. They started off OpenAI as a nonprofit, as Elon puts it, to help humanity and to usher in the era of AI in a responsible way. And then Sam Altman flips, and all of a sudden it becomes a for-profit venture, and here we are today. Elon, I think I read in 2000, from 2015 to 2017, gave like $38 million to get the project up and rolling. So he's got, he's probably got some legitimate standing there. Not to say that the richest man in the world doesn't get rich by stepping on some toes.
Right.
So,
well, it'll be interesting to see what when the trial starts and what sort of discovery comes out, because that's going to be a wall-to-wall coverage sort of thing, I'm sure. There's going to be people in that courtroom reporting what happens every single day.
Every day.
I mean, it's I don't know where discovery goes in this, but it's sometimes you can get some dirty shit out of it too.
Well, I think it's actually kind of a pivotal case for AI too, because you have two of the founders of just this type of AI in general going at it with each other. It could end up shaping the direction of how AI is developed from here on out too. Elon, from what he says, wants to do it in a way that really benefits humanity and helps people, where others are doing it more for the profit because they see the dollar signs falling behind it.
Yeah, well, I didn't finish. I was just watching it while I was kind of getting ready this morning. John Oliver's Last Week Tonight just had an episode about chatbots. And sort of this like ethical, it's not even a dilemma, but like it's an ethical thing that we as a society have to hold this industry to and make sure that they, that there's a lot of stuff that's antithetical to what they want. They want engagement. They want all these other things. And so to do that, they purposely are, giving positive reinforcement to stuff and saying, like some really horrific shit of, people dying by suicide because ChatGPT was like, yeah, you should do it.
It gives them delusions.
Yeah.
It's a Chat GPT psychosis or something that they're calling.
I guess I should be clear. I'm not sure if it was Chat GPT that
it
did
was.
that. It was. I just knew it was some sort of chat bot. But
yep.
But yeah, I mean, just some of that stuff and that like how easy it is to sort of jailbreak stuff and tell you how to like how to make a bomb and
you give certain instructions and set up the prompts certain ways.
We had to go to the library and check out the anarchist cookbook
or buy a copy for a college course. Yeah, I mean you can definitely do all of that stuff on it. People have done it. They've done it with these AI models. So it's, I don't know. We may be a little cooked as a society with AI and the direction that it's currently heading. Then you throw the data center conversation into it too. There's something like, what did I see today? 4,000 data centers up for development across the country. There's been something like 5 states that have said no to them completely and have shut them out. Like you can't have all the AI that people want without the data centers. So you need to.
This is where my love of big government comes in too, and like where I realize, you and many of our folks that are listening and watching are not big fans of government regulation, but I feel like this technology in some sort, and I'm not a smart person to say, I'm smart enough to say, I'm not smart enough to know what part needs to be regulated and how, but there's this level of because I'm thinking like, God, we need transparency in this, but I don't know that we can necessarily force a private company to be 100% transparent. But there needs to be some sort of oversight of like, how are you using this technology, right? Like,
absolutely. It's a new, obviously to us, new and emerging technology.
Yeah.
And we all know how laws and rules take forever to catch up. I know the White House has a council on all of this right now, but even that work takes forever. They'll probably sit and meet for 8 months and then put together a framework, and by the end of next year you might have a bill. It's like, okay, by that time AI has gone 35 iterations into the future.
I know it sounds hyperbolic, and I think I would argue it's only slightly hyperbolic to say that. I mean, I would apply it to the same level of worry to energy companies that could create a nuclear power plant unregulated, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's got the same sort of impact level. I mean, obviously, we can all
Potentially,
literally die from doing shit the wrong way with a power plant, but like, yeah, let run amok. This thing could have some serious complications.
Well, now they're sticking it in all of our phones and on all of our computers. There's a bill that was passed in Congress, and again, shout out to my favorite Congressman Thomas Massey. He tried to stop this, but basically, there's going to be the surveillance systems in your vehicles now that monitor your pupil dilation and your moods and all kinds of other things that will either allow you to drive or not. And if the AI recognizes that something's off, it'll shut your car off. So you're losing autonomy to a lot of this stuff too. It's insane.
That ties into the FISA stuff we talked about. Two things with the FISA is that I apologize. The one thing I wanted to bring up last episode and I didn't, and it's a good time to do it now because I promise it ties back to government transparency, government surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
Your U.S. Congress person is ahead in the polls apparently. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
He's up over Cunningham. Is that?
Yeah, Cunningham.
And I know that you had some questions for Cunningham too, as far as how to vote for FISA or how he would vote for FISA, right?
Yeah, I've kind of a little bit turned into that guy on X, and on certain posts I keep asking, what is your stance on FISA 702? I'm really curious as a potential constituent, and there are no answers. It's radio silence. So you think as a candidate for Congress right now, when that bill is being debated and House leadership tried to move it in the dead of the night, literally, they held a vote out at like 1 or 2 in the morning, that as a candidate, you'd have some kind of developed position on it. If you're for it, then fine. Tell me you're for it. I just want to know where you stand.
Or like I told you, at least lie.
Yeah.
do what everybody else does and just say whatever you think the person wants to hear.
Exactly. Got a president that got elected doing that.
Well, and I like, you know more about this because I don't know the inner workings of how endorsements usually work, but it really makes me wonder if he's got to be careful how he treads, considering that he got an endorsement from President Trump, right?
Yeah.
Or is Trump paying that close attention? I mean, I think it seems like maybe some important people saw how close that race could be and how that's a vulnerable spot for Democrats. And,
yeah. He wouldn't be racking up the endorsements he's getting unless the district was in play. Speaker Johnson came out for him recently. I've seen a couple of others as well. I mean, that's how you play the congressional game. I just don't know if that district is too far gone at this point to put a Republican back in there, because it's very different than the last time Yvette Harrell actually held the district.
Or a Harry Teague of Republicans, right? Like somebody who, a moderate Republican who, like, I mean, that's how Harry Teague got in there, was that he was sort of,
he's kind of moderate.
He's a Democrat, but he was like,
yeah,
but he's a good old boy from down south that, like,
I ran the volunteer mail program out of the Republican Party of New Mexico against Harry Teague. And the one mail piece I remember to this day is Harry Teague's face plastered on it, big red underline that said Harry Teague is more liberal than you think. That'd probably get him elected today.
Well, and he was the the first in recent history to do that whole like serve a term and then give it back to Republicans.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He had it for a while, and I think Torres Small had a similar problem where it's hard to ride that line between especially during for Torres Small, because it was during a time where it was either like you were either MAGA or anything else.
Well, and she's more of like one of those Las Cruces progressives more than anything too, and really that district traditionally has been Republican because you've got agriculture and oil and gas that dominate there. So having a progressive come into that district, it was weird. Yeah,
well, for that matter, there's a little bit of a conservative value to this, and it goes and ag mentality of like that they're left behind and that like no one ever thinks about them, and they're not necessarily wrong, right? But like there's always that like rural metropolitan divide, and then there's like the southern and northern divide. So there's sort of like, you live down south, you have to be sort of somewhat self-sufficient or rely on El Paso because northern New Mexico
ain't gonna do it. I think most people up north look at Las Cruces and everything south as part of El Paso, which is so far from the truth.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Man, I love shout out to Las Cruces. Trying to remember if I'd said this on here before, but it was years ago when I went to. There was some sort of cannabis event, and I was doing my last cannabis podcast that we ended up being our last show. We didn't know it, but it was live. We were trying to do like a live version or something. Anyway, it was downtown Las Cruces, and that plaza downtown was fucking amazing.
It's beautiful.
There's all these cool little restaurants around there, and I was like, this is like, people were hanging out. There was families around, like, it seemed like a little neighborhood, but it was downtown. It was cool.
Yeah, we were down there just a couple weekends ago, and we were looking for dinner at like, I want to say 11 o'clock at night, and we found I think it's called the Arcade or something like that, but it was hopping. Yeah. We never would have gone out like that in Albuquerque, though. Yeah. So like Cruces is a cool little city. They've got some awesome stuff down there, but bringing it back a little bit, Cruces has kind of been the progressive test bed for New Mexico, and what you're seeing now kind of grew out of that. That's where they won their first races and kind of put this model together that they're using today. In fact, a lot of what we used in New Mexico early on became the model for doing things nationally on the progressive side of things. Yeah,
I think they're also because they're in that little bubble almost, is that like sometimes these progressive ideals also appeal to the notion of, we got to take care of ourselves, and so we got to like do things our own way. And was it Las Cruces that didn't put a time on their cannabis sales, like
was it Cruces or I think maybe it was
Roswell
originally that didn't have the time.
But I feel like Las Cruces started sales midnight or something on
midnight, and then Sunland you're looking at like 2 a.m. I think.
And you're talking about literally a tale of two cities, where you've got Las Cruces just for cannabis, because that's what I covered a lot of at the time. You've got Las Cruces who didn't that were made their own laws so they can open at midnight.
Yep.
Whereas Albuquerque was like, you can't open until 10 or whatever the fuck it was at the time. Las Cruces also didn't really make any laws about indoor consumption, so there was a period of time, I don't know if it still is that way, a period of time where you could have a patio. I think they've since changed it, maybe, but
it's changed. It's stricter, but
it was also like they knowingly didn't put that in the law, right? And Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, a bunch of other cities immediately were like, no, we gotta you gotta do it inside. Right?
Because smoking inside is safer than just having smoke blow around.
Anyway, to my point, just those two are my observations in those two situations, was that, like Las Cruces is like, look, no one cares what we do anyway, so we're going to do whatever the fuck we want. And we're going to get some progressive city councilors and county commissioners, and we're going to, go to ranked choice voting. And they've done a bunch of like not minimum wage, paid time off kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where some of the ideas for like Albuquerque's long fought ordinance
Right.
came from. A lot of progressive ideas really originate from that part of the state for whatever reason. I know the campaign stuff they tested out because it's cheap. You can get a lot of bang for your buck.
It's like America's Test Kitchen. There's some place in Ohio, maybe Akron, where it's like it's where a bunch of corporations like try their test product. Like that's where they first like beta test their new products is like
interesting.
So that's Las Cruces. If
welcome
you want
to New Mexico.
You want to see if if you want to see a progressive idea works, try it out in Las Cruces.
Exactly. I remember Bill McCamley running for what was it? County commissioner at the time, I think. This was way back
before he was in the House.
Yeah. This was back like 2005.
He was a county commissioner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I worked for somebody doing opposition research on Bill McCamley. So
and he was a young guy.
Yeah.
I've always had some respect for him because he was just above board with me. Like in some ways, journalists have some sort of a low bar, or somewhat of a low bar as far as like respect goes. I'm like, did they talk to you? Were they like last week? We talked about Rebecca Dow, where like whether she was mad at me or not, she understood that I had to do a job. And
yeah, exactly.
I was reporting on somebody who's running for office, and it is what it is. You know,
I think that's the way most elected officials are. Behind closed doors, they'll definitely say, they'll grumble and do all those things, but they put on a good face in public, which is fine.
I think it's probably okay to share this now. It wasn't even bad then. I probably would have shared it then, but when Bill McCamley was Secretary of Department of Workforce Solutions during, I don't remember what it was, some sort of legislative hearings about that somehow impacted Workforce Solutions. Maybe it was COVID stuff. I don't remember, but I was texting him because I was writing a story about it. So I texted him like for clarification. I'm like, hey, I got a question about this and this and this. And, oh no, I know what it was. We were both watching the legislature, but on separate things. And since I was working, I happened to text him, hey, I got a call from somebody that had a question about, that they got fired from this job, and I wanted to look into it. Can you give me some background information on this?
Yeah.
Thinking that maybe he would email me or call me the next day. He called me like 5 seconds later. It was
Jeez.
he's like, hey, what do you need to know about? And I just walked him through, and I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to. He's like, no, I'm up watching the session. And I was like, yeah, me too.
That's how accessible elected officials and cabinet officials are in New Mexico. It's great.
Yeah.
It's one of our traditions.
Yes, I think, and he is not the only person that I have their number saved in my phone, and I feel confident that as long as I don't overuse it, that I can.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Be like, hey, I got a question that
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do as much of that anymore as I used to. Now it's just going to be like, hey, will you come on my weed smoking podcast?
Yeah, come smoke weed with us and be on the podcast, and
which, by the way,
talk shit.
If you're a politician, where's my camera? Right here.
Yeah, right there.
If politicians want to come on, I know that there's politicians out there or politicos that maybe just need that little extra nudge to come.
Come chat with us. It's fun. I think we have a good time.
Yeah, and it's obviously you could disagree, not get angry. We won't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We're much nicer to people in person than in comments, right?
Definitely.
We were talking earlier about. Actually, you've been pretty nice to folks in the comments, but if anybody is pissed off about anything we have to say,
leave a
comment below, and Matt will come in and
I'll come correct you. It's okay.
Yeah. Or say you're 100% right.
Yeah, exactly. I do that more times than not.
Oh, so I was going to ask, speaking of that poll, I can't remember. I was trying to look at what the lead that Ben Ray Lujan has on Greg Cunningham. 69% in favor of Ben Ray Lujan, apparently.
Oh, that's you mean the
Oh, I'm sorry, U.S. Senate. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was conflating two things.
Let's
that was dumb. But anyway, that was what I was starting to talk about is Ben Ray Lujan.
He's well ahead, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's almost it's almost, I mean, it really is just a given. Plus, once United States senators get past their second term, they're pretty much a shoo-in. Back in the day, it was something like a 73% reelection rate. Back when I was at UNM, around the early 2000s.
He's kind of, I mean, setting himself up to be the next senior senator, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
He's got that safe spot. I can't think of the last time that somebody's had a Senate seat in my lifetime. Or like once you're in, basically, unless you.
Yeah, I mean, there've been a few upsets in other states, but those typically go towards candidates that are on their way out anyway.
Yeah.
I think we've got a pretty solid tradition in New Mexico of having long-serving senators. I mean, look at Domenici, you look at Bingaman.
Yeah.
Udall wasn't a senator for too long, but
once he was there, he didn't. He just retired.
Yeah, he retired. He was in the House for years.
Yeah.
So New Mexico's kind of got that tradition. I think Ben Ray follows that pretty closely. Heinrich is definitely kind of on that path.
Did you see Heinrich endorsed? I believe his name is Juan Sanchez for land commissioner. I don't know if you how much you've been following the local races, but the race is important, but not about the race so much as that Heinrich. I find it interesting that Heinrich is so unapologetic when it comes to early endorsements of people, right? Like
that's the part that I find odd.
That's almost a given at this point. He's done it so much that you're like, it would be weird if he didn't endorse somebody in the primary.
Yeah, I mean, give it to him. He kind of steps out and just does what he does.
Yeah,
he's not really too concerned about what other folks are thinking. I think that's the way it comes across anyway.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know where I would be in that situation. This is why I couldn't ever do anything that remotely close to an elected office like that. Is that I would just be like, it would be too much of an internal struggle. I'm too much of a people pleaser or something. That I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't do that. And like
you got to get over that. Andy.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to. That's one of the many reasons I would never want to hold office. But
yeah,
I'm like, I'd much rather just have conversations like this than have to do anything tough, like make those tough decisions. Like, should the government spy on us?
Oh, yeah, that's a real tough decision. Yeah. No. The answer is no. No.
Fuck no.
Yeah, exactly.
What else do I have on our list here? A lot of the stuff I put on the list today were stuff that we already talked about. That Supreme Court's looking at this geofence search warrant stuff. That's what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
How companies can come in and police departments can go tell these tech companies like, hey, give us that data that you've been collecting from people forever.
Yep.
Like, tell us where they be.
Yeah, and the debate there is law enforcement is saying, well, you give permission to these platforms to collect your data when you're using it. So when we send a warrant asking for a geofence, you've already given that permission, so that's why you're swept up in it. I was surprised to see that Google actually is siding a little bit more on the side of privacy, saying that there needs to be more controls over these warrants, because really, again, we're finding a common theme here, Andy.
Yeah.
There's basically spying on you and looking at your movements without having any kind of warrants. Yeah,
there's already cameras in here. But.
Where's the flock camera? I went to Los Lunas on Friday to go to Home Depot, and I looked up, and as I'm pulling into the parking lot, there's a flock camera right there. And I went to dflock.me afterwards. Yeah. You might want to cut that out. That might get us might get us a strike. But I went to a website that shows all the flock cameras in the area, and Los Lunas is chock full of them. Albuquerque is getting close to it. Now we're seeing APD and the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office start to use drones to respond to stuff. We talked about that a little bit last week too. But
that was along the lines of drones. Oh, also, V came back in. She's bringing you food, my man.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are gonna love those.
Those look good.
Oh my gosh.
What is it?
What'd you get?
I don't know. They're called stuffed like tots, but drops, like to teach.
Where's it from?
And then that's like raspberry sauce. Got fat stacks because the hot dog place went out of business.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, shout out to Fat Stacks. We went.
Try it?
I'm good, but
You got it?
I will maybe.
What do you think? I didn't
Delicious but hot.
We love Fat Stacks too when we're over here at Enchanted, and the three of us have gone over for burgers across the street. So
Yeah.
shout out to them for being in the perfect spot. But we're talking about spying.
Yeah, the specifically the geofencing warrants. You know, basically what happens is law enforcement will go to a company like Google and say, give us the data for this particular geofenced area. They'll get all of the data, and then they'll start compiling basically a suspects list from there, because they're looking at people's movements, they're looking at when they got a certain place, when they left a certain place, all of the things that you do as a human, they're looking at without a warrant, all based on your data that your phone transmits.
And yeah, that's referencing to I think last episode we talked about that, where I think I may have gotten the name of the park wrong. It's Regal Park.
Regal, that's right, in Santa Fe.
I might have added an N in there. Anyway, it's Regal Park, and it's a huge park in Santa Fe. And yeah, this young man who ended up being convicted of the crime. So it's sort of like, it's hard. That makes another challenge for some of these things to fight. Of like, yes, he definitely. Well, I mean, I think he might have confessed to it after he was convicted, or at least like admitted to it. Regardless, convicted. So by the eyes of the law, he did it, right? But would they have found him without it? I don't know. You know, like
maybe not. But I'm also not willing to give up my liberty.
And
at
believe
all.
me, that's my. I'm still on the side of like, let's make sure that we. If we make a mistake, let's make sure that we don't arrest the guilty person instead of arresting and convicting an innocent person.
Well,
right?
that's why I don't really believe in the death penalty at this point, because our judicial system is such a shit show.
I don't think if it's a capital crime to kill somebody, then I don't want my government to kill people. You know?
No,
like I don't trust.
not.
I don't trust that they're going to do it the right way.
No, and they're bringing. But what did I see? They're bringing back hangings as a way to execute prisoners now at the federal level. Like, come on, guys, we're going in the wrong direction here.
So anyway, yeah, this young man basically happened to be at the same place where this gentleman died, and they did the math and figured out when the gentleman was shot and killed. And yeah, instead of doing some police work and finding out that this kid maybe was around, or I mean, again, I'm not a cop, I don't know how you would do it, but they just said who was in this park at this time, and they started weeding out, other IP addresses. Okay, this is a car that was driving down the road. This is somebody's house that backs up to the park, or somebody did a U-turn in the parking lot. But this one, they narrowed it down to this one who happened to be. They could pinpoint exactly where he was.
Yeah, it's definitely making police work easier, but there's a cost to that, and the cost is on us who, we've got a constitution, a document that spells out what can and cannot be done, and this is going against
and when
all
we're
of
making
that.
police work easier, let's focus on technology making things easier, like getting files and like file management system and redaction system, so we can get fucking
Get actual records.
car accident reports.
Exactly.
That's the police work that I want to make easier.
I don't want to make a whole lot of police work easier at all. I don't like the work that they do. To solve a murder, yeah, sure, but most of the stuff they're going after is whatever. We'd be fine if it was left untouched.
I think Google's on the right side of this as far as pushing back a little bit, because I think these companies just need that little slight bit of empowerment to say, yes, it's okay to push back against whatever fucking administration it is.
Yeah.
To say, or the people that are taking, I guess it's not the administration, but taking it to court to push back on these cases and say, you know what, we need to be empowered to tell them, fuck you, you can't get this. You have to, if they're going to use that technology, there has to be this extra safety net where a judge, I don't know, a waiting period, or a judge to examine it, or some sort of commission to say, like, is it worth doing this? Right?
You got to have safeguards in place that protect the innocent, and still allow you to do your job while following the Constitution.
Or for
Period.
just for Google to be empowered to say, that's our private, that this is our client's business.
Yeah.
And we're not going to fucking share it. You
Yeah,
know? Like,
that's the other thing. Yep.
I mean, of course, Google would say for the right price, you can you can have all of it.
Google's in the business of selling all of our
Yeah.
data. Don't get it wrong. you
Yeah.
know?
But they know the government's not going to pay them for it, and
Yeah, hell no.
that would be completely illegal anyway.
Well, with all these Palantir systems coming online, they're going to have all that data at their fingertips anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
Palantir is going to literally hoover up everything they can.
So what is that now?
So Palantir's been contracted by different federal government agencies to start building databases. So, for example, the latest one was the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They're going to want all farms and farmers to register everything they're doing with their new system under the guise, I guess, of more efficient delivery of services. But these systems, and we've already seen it with some of the IRS stuff, they pull up whatever data that they can hoover up. They've already been spying on Americans' bank accounts and everything else. So that's the Palantir system is going to be like supercharged AI, or it is supercharged AI that's going to suck as much stuff up as it can.
Super cool. I can't wait till we get quantum computing too.
Oh yeah, social credit scores.
Put all this together and just put the human race out of existence.
Exactly. It feels like it's where we're headed.
Oh man, I can't now. I think it was in the Secret Sesh when I mentioned that I just watched that movie Begonia. But there's without giving anything away, there's a tie in there to what we were talking about.
Yeah,
getting rid of humans. But yeah, crazy movie by the way.
Crazy times.
What else do we have on here? I'm somewhat ignorant about this, but it caught my attention. This Axios story of says U.S. Supreme Court clears Texas GOP favored congressional map.
Yeah, I was reading through that too. Texas is kind of what kicked off this whole
gerrymandering
conversation. Yeah. Now Virginia has a very poorly worded ballot measure on their ballot for this election. So Virginia and other states are now moving forward with these gerrymandering plans.
So given what the New Mexico Supreme Court said about gerrymandering here, is they said essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially, yes, it was gerrymandered, but not egregiously, so it stands, right?
Pretty much.
I wonder how much longer until it goes to a thing of like that this becomes just another reason that you want to be the party in power, you know, like
I mean that's important
political strategy of, you know, let's make sure that we're in power every 10th year.
Yep.
When we're drawing those maps, you know? There's
a lot of strategy to that, and Republicans had that opportunity during the Martinez administration, and things ended up going back to the courts.
Yeah, and that was again, it's going to be a whole lot of me correcting myself from last week. I sort of implied that it's been court decided this whole time, and technically it has, but this last time the court just upheld what they did.
Yeah.
But every attempt before that for like 30 years or something, two sides couldn't agree, and it would go to the court, and the court would go, just go to what it was last time. And then you go back and see what it was last time, and you're like, that judge was like, just go back what it was last time.
Exactly.
And it's like 30 years of that.
It's a repeating cycle.
Yeah. And so that I think, and somebody can correct me in the comments, that is why we've had that political map for so long, is that they just couldn't fucking get it done, and the judge said this is what you get.
Man, yeah. Every time redistricting comes up, it happens too. Yeah.
Except with the exception, I think, of this last time, right? The last time, I mean, obviously it wasn't true compromise because a lot of people were unhappy about it, but it still was decided and just stayed in place. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was really no. I want to say there was probably a legal challenge to it, but it came and went pretty quietly, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Supreme Court was like, yes, it's just not egregiously, gerrymandered. So,
which is crazy because you split the largest city in the state into three very different districts.
it's one of those. This is why lawyers are. I don't know. Lawyers have to be good at like this weird existential bullshit of like, what does egregious mean? You know, well, this case law says this. Well, sort of like I've been in debates with friends over the Duke Rodriguez residency issue, you know, and it becomes this like sort of theoretical conversation because then you start talking about, well, what does it mean to be a resident? Well, there's really only definition and tax purposes, right? Like as far as the Secretary of State's concerned, you have to be a resident and have registered and blah, 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 blah. You're like, well, what's a resident? And their definition basically just goes to tax and rev.
Pretty much.
You know,
yeah.
like,
it's also, as far as voter registration goes, where did you intend to vote?
Yeah.
So if you intended to vote in New Mexico where you registered, then you're okay to do it.
Well, that reminds me, I got to give props to the judges that probably have always done this, which is what Duke said they were going to do, and what they did in Rebecca Dow's case is we're just going to let the voters, like, we're going to err on the side of, if it's a ministerial sort of mistake, then we're going to err on the side of letting voters decide.
Yeah, which I think is a smart decision. We have an election process in place for a reason, and there are safeguards built into that, supposedly. So let people make that choice. In this case, she's the only real choice because there's a write-in running against her, but Joe Skeen is the last time anybody running a write-in race in New Mexico. And that was back in the 80s.
How funny would it have been if... I think, didn't Art De La Cruz win on a write-in?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's right.
And I think there was another woman, Brittany, I want to say Bareilles? No. I'm sorry, I'm going to mess up her name. She, I think, was also a write-in candidate.
Okay.
But it was one of those things where, like, there wasn't really another choice. I think in Art De La Cruz's case, it was like just another. I can't remember what it was, but there was nobody else to replace him, and so it was like get him on the. And I think the party just sort of, or the campaign just helped unite and tell everybody like,
this is it.
Yeah, and I think everybody in Art De La Cruz's district wanted Art De La Cruz. It was
sure.
that was sort of a ministerial mistake, I think, too.
Yep.
So anyway, I like the idea of like, if you can't figure out bureaucracy, then you could still run, right?
Just put the people on the ballot. We don't have enough good people that want to run for office these days anyway.
Yeah.
They usually end up being professional politicians, and we need less of that and more regular people. And I think it'd be pretty hard to argue that Rebecca Dow is not just a regular person.
Yeah, well, and like you said, she's sort of she's the Art De La Cruz of not politically by any means, but she's the Art De La Cruz of that area where like everyone knows her. They're like, yeah, of course we want. Not everyone. I realize there's plenty of people that, not plenty. I realize there's a number of people in her district that obviously don't vote for her. That's how it goes,
exactly.
right? But by and large, it's like she's well known, and I think relatively well liked across party lines.
I think so.
I don't think she's not extreme by any. Well, I mean, obviously, extreme is a whole different thing these days. But she's, Anyway,
yeah, she's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah,
not by any means.
I saw a funny meme or like video where guy was just going through all the stuff of like showing how he was sort of acting out this thing of being like this hypocritical MAGA supporter who's like, oh, I haven't changed. Me and Trump haven't changed, but like
all of you have.
Yeah,
though.
That's the woke right. The woke right is
the panicans.
Yeah. So yeah, and then obviously with Duke Rodriguez, I think even more so the judge is like, listen, if people think that he's a carpetbagger, then
let him decide.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the right decision to make, I think. If he makes it out of the primary and he's running against a Democrat, look, Duke has been a business owner in New Mexico for a long time. He was in Governor Johnson's cabinet. He ran a very large local healthcare company. Like, the dude's been a local success. So you can't argue that he hasn't done things in and for New Mexico. He still employs New Mexicans. I mean, it's more than probably 90% of the other candidates that are running for governor.
Yeah, well, and New Mexico has a long and understandable history of outsiders and sort of it's actually a very welcoming place to outsiders. But our scale of what a local is, you and I have talked about this. I can't remember if we were recording this, but like when Mark Ronchetti ran in what was that 2024? They're like, he only moved here in 1997, and I'm like, well, some voters weren't born when he moved here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, like, I'm like, I came here in 1986. Is that okay? Like,
but I came here literally the day after I graduated high school in 1998, and in some places I still don't feel like I'm welcomed as a New Mexican, which is weird because I've got a couple of families up in northern New Mexico who basically have adopted me as their own. So it's
I would say that like it's very welcoming until you want to do something important like run for office or that. And I think in some ways I like that it's like sort of protective of its people. We like last week we talked about the nuclear stuff where people are like, fuck you if you're bringing any more waste here, like we're sticking together. Or big companies coming in, and overtaking small businesses. I think we look down on some of that, except, well, I mean, Walmart's a whole nother thing, but
yeah, Walmart's just a different animal. But
I mean, we like our. I'll borrow a phrase from former State Senator Dee Dee Feldman, which I interviewed her about Gary Johnson one time, and what did she say? Something like, he's an asshole, but he's our asshole, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, I say this about Albuquerque, I say this about New Mexico. I'm like, it might be a shithole, but it's our shithole.
It's our shithole.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we can talk shit about it, but you can't. Get lost.
Yeah.
That's a very New Mexican thing, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we can make jokes about Breaking Bad, but as soon as... And look, I stand fully behind it as people who... I know people who have benefited from Breaking Bad. I know people who are like, God, I wish I didn't own this property.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, you didn't care about us when you were going to get your, ayahuasca treatment in Santa Fe or whatever. But like...
Exactly.
Like, pre-Coachella trip to like... Ojo Caliente, and then like not even pay attention to anything outside of that.
Nothing at all. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like how protective we are of our places and our people. It gets frustrating sometimes actually being in it, but when it comes down to it, it's a very unique thing in this country, and it's pretty
even to
cool.
the point of being critical of Georgia O'Keeffe. One of the most famous artists that put New Mexico on the map.
Yep,
is her attitude of like, look at this land just for me. I feel like it's just mine, and people are like,
actually,
hold on, white lady.
Yeah, you're welcome here, but not that welcome here.
Take your vagina painting somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's too funny. This is a beautiful place. I keep thinking, what do we do in the long term? Do we stay here? Do we go somewhere else? And my heart is so in New Mexico. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I definitely went through that whole thing of growing up here and just couldn't wait for a possibility to get out, and went to Washington State for a while where I have family, and ended up coming back because it was just familiar, and now I've got kids and a wife here, and so we're sort of, I'm not saying that I would never leave, but in the near immediate future I have no plans to.
No.
I'm not planning my escape.
Man, when I lived in DC for 2 years. When I lived there, I would literally dream about New Mexico, about the wide open skies and the big open mesas and everything. It was just, I felt so claustrophobic living back east. It was crazy.
But I also think I personally needed to get a perspective that I like from people, from outsiders, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I lived here since I was 3.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4. And grew up with the balloons, and I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
to the point where I'm just like, oh, it's traffic and
Balloon
I see
Fiesta
them all the time.
again.
But then when I see like people's face light up in
Yeah.
other states, and you talk about this big thing, and I'm like, I guess that is pretty cool. I guess the mass ascension is like a really cool thing, and
Yeah.
I remember when I moved to Washington, driving down. It used to be called like State Road 666. Actually, it was up to the Four Corners area, and there's nothing out there. And I just remember thinking, "Oh God, I can't wait to get out of this nothingness." And but yeah, then you go to a place that has no wide open spaces like that, and you're like,
Yep.
I feel like I can breathe again.
And now I live in a place like Socorro where we go there because of the nothingness.
Yeah,
And we want it kept that way too. That's one of the beautiful things about this state is it's just there's a lot of nothing. And it's beautiful, and the energy is amazing, and it we want to keep it that way too.
Look at our love letter to New Mexico, man.
Seriously.
Breaking: 2 white guys with beards love New Mexico.
I know. Shocker.
I guess the last thing. How are we doing on time?
We're at 53 minutes right
Okay.
now.
As folks can hear, we got Enchanted Botanicals as pop-in.
It's
where we are.
it's a movie night with the ladies from Goldfish Farms. They're here dabbing out folks and watching movies tonight.
May have to bleep some of that out because I think that's what we got in trouble for last time. But anyway, people should go look at Enchanted Botanicals website and find out all the cool shit they got going on.
Ignore what I just said.
Yeah. We do not endorse anything that happens at Enchanted Botanicals. But I think a good wrap up would be that I guess it's the last Gathering of Nations. It's I obviously have never. It's never been in my culture. I can't claim any sort of cultural significance other than like it's a balloon fiesta thing. It's always happened. I've never not. I don't. There's like my only memory is I was so little moving here. That's all I know. That's all I remember and that's another thing that I didn't understand the size of the sheer volume. So it's a bummer that people couldn't figure out how to fucking keep it going.
We've gone a couple of times. It's really neat. It exposes you to a lot of different culture that you would normally see.
I love that we had it for so long. I love that it was a thing to like.
Yeah, it's like 47 years, I think.
And it's a good reminder for folks that Native American culture is not monolith. It's not a monolith. Like,
exactly.
There's so much diversity even within that quote unquote Native American community or culture. But remind me, maybe you followed it, but it was like venues that just wouldn't fucking do it, right? Like,
yeah, they had for a while. They moved over to the pit. I think it was for one or two.
And I think UNM said they weren't going to do it anymore.
Yeah, and then Tingley finally came back and said yes. It's been held for years. I'm a little surprised by all this though, because the state wants to step in for almost everything else, but they're not stepping in to help this at all, which is kind of surprising.
Kind of
it's a letdown, honestly.
Yeah, it's a real bummer that we're having these conversations about what's going to happen at the state fairgrounds and not having a conversation of like, we're going to annex this little quarter to make it so that you can have the Gathering of Nations right now. Like next year you could have it.
Exactly. I don't know if the organizers want to talk about coming down to Socorro. I'd be willing to help them out with that.
That'd be awesome.
I'd love it. Yeah. I know we don't have enough hotel space, but who cares? Come down anyway.
Matt's got some land for everybody.
Yeah, we'll rent you an RV spot or something like that.
Just don't mind the plants.
Just stay off the plants. We'll kind of section things off. It'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean it is. I can't sit here and pretend that it affects me like it affects probably a lot of people that it means a whole lot more to them. But
well, just from a cultural perspective, that's another one of the things that's made New Mexico so just very unique, at least over the last 47 years. It's been a gathering spot for, yes, Native Americans to come together, but a lot of different cultures to come and experience the different people from around the country.
And it was always counter to Balloon Fiesta time, sort of, right? And hotel rooms filled up just as much as I'm making up numbers here or making up assumptions here, but it was like you could not get a hotel room during Gathering of Nations. I
think it's very safe to say that it definitely is on par with Balloon Fiesta. Probably not as much economic activity, but there's certainly a huge number of people that come into town. Hotel rooms are filled up for what it usually that 3 or 4 days that it.
And there were so
happens.
many
It's like,
ancillary events that
Yeah.
sort of happened along with it. You know, there was,
Yep.
I know, a wonderful woman, Andy Murphy, was doing like her own food fest, but it was like a true indigenous food fest in
Oh,
Old
that's
Town.
cool.
So she's like, yeah, no fry bread, no anything. Like it was all stuff prior to colonization and rations and shit. you know,
Interesting.
so,
Wow.
and then there's like always stuff at like the skate park. There was some thrash metal band stuff that was happening
Nice.
this year. So I bring all that up because I'm like, fingers crossed, maybe it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Maybe this is the cycle, the life cycle of this. Like maybe it goes
Yeah.
back to like a more of a grassroots like little thing that happens, and all those ancillary stuff that still happens. And
Yeah, just a
you know,
smaller gathering, perhaps. I'd love to see it stick around. It'll definitely be something that's missed if it totally goes away, though.
Well, and selfishly for me, like it's one less bragging right we have to be like that we host the biggest,
Seriously,
event.
I mean, look, that's something worth bragging about.
Yeah.
It really is. And we're at the bottom of so many rankings where we need to be at least middle of the pack. It's kind of fun to be in a place that leads on those types of really cool cultural events. And it feels like they're getting peeled off by the day.
Maybe you and I can. I was going to say single-handedly, but we wouldn't be single-handed. Make it the podcast network or podcast capital of at least the Southwest. Right?
There we go. Yeah, we could do that. I'm all right with it. I mean, we got to beat out Austin at this point, but I think we can do that.
Who's doing a podcast in Austin? Even
I don't know. Couldn't name him.
name me one bald guy in Austin who's doing a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So specifically a bald guy. It's funny.
Well, you wanna pack up and do some dabs?
Yeah, let's go see what Goldfish is up to.
Call it a day.
Sounds good.
Actually, do you have any plugs? Any other stuff you want to?
Again, first, thanks to Enchanted Botanicals for hosting us tonight. This was a very comfortable, great spot. Hopefully we'll be back again. Not hopefully, we'll be back again
we
for
will.
sure. I don't know. Hobbs going to be down there this Thursday to host a town hall
This will be out
for the
after
Cannabis
that, but-
Association. Yeah, this will be out after it, but we should have some interesting discussion there. Really, just comment, like, and subscribe. Definitely comment. Definitely subscribe. You don't have to like us if you don't want to, though.
Yeah, it's just a symbol.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't have to actually like us. Actually, fuck, I don't care. Just like put the down thumb. That might be just as good for.
It might be.
us.
It's engagement, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we want is engagement. So
Yeah.
just engage, please.
It's like Howard Stern. Like people hate you, but they still listen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we could hope for is be old school. Let me specify old school Howard Stern. Anyway, Andy Lyman, Matt Kennicott. This is Secret Sesh. Do all the things that he said, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.